So we have 15 minutes for questions and answers. I'll start the discussion panel by asking a very brief, simple question to our valued panelists. And after that, we'll be getting questions from the audience. I would like to start with Glenn. Actually, this question, you know, we have very limited time, so think of it as a 30 to 45 second answer, please. What do you think for your industry for 2014 the game changer will be?
I mean, I think from what I've seen in Wave, I know it's nothing new, but it's smartphone that's changing everything. So we've seen penetration rise from something like 30% to over 70% in the space of 18 months in our survey. It's incredible, but it's not that rise in penetration that's changed, it's how it's changed consumer behavior. So basically, because people have their phones with them more often, it means that they are interacting more often, it means that those interactions are becoming quicker, they're becoming simpler, so all those applications that actually enable that, like Twitter, they're the ones that are growing the fastest, the ones that are built for those kind of mobile behaviors. That's the thing. And then when you think forward and think wearable technology, 4G, super fast mobile, broadband everywhere, you think in 3 years' time, you know, who knows exactly where it would be. It would be incredible.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
So, Nikki, in the media agency world, what shall we prepare ourselves for in 2014?
Well, I think we've heard themes of mobile first, and then of course there's data and content. So I think what's going to happen, and is already happening, is agencies are being now pressurized to get better talent. And I think that now that the recession is over, we've had 5 years of pain, now we have to really put more money, energy, time into talent, because that is going to be one of the key differentiators of success next year.
Absolutely. I see this as a very key differentiator for the next 4 or 5 years in extending our ecosystem. And as Chris said, making all the media digital, you know, getting that talent pool, extending that talent pool, and that's a heavy task still waiting to be done. So Jay, what is waiting for us in 2014? What will be the, you know, meaningful trend and disrupting force that we'll be all running after?
It's hard for me to disagree with what everybody's been talking about. I mean, I think that's right on. I mean, ultimately, I think for companies of our size, it's embracing all of this technology to become much more nimble. So we talked about this idea of, you know, acting like a publisher versus an advertiser and setting up command centers. And really, when we flip on the switch for a campaign, that's really the start rather than the end. And how we really massage those campaigns when we turn them on, and doing that at a global scale. So I think, you know, the big transformation for us is being able to get scale without having to rely solely on television.
Thank you. And how about you, Chris? What's coming in 2014 from Nokia? And
I think there's probably 2 aspects. One is a revolution, one is an evolution. I think the evolution is going to happen around content and the actual curation of content. So it's not just content that brands create or branded content, but also that partners are having, and sponsorship partners, but also consumer-generated media will be critical to kind of curate and create experiences that consumers want to spend time in and want to engage with. And the revolution, I think, is happening in the data-backed programmatic buying. I think in terms of the advertising exchange, is really streamlining the media buying process and optimization with enhanced data feeds from a variety of sources, and really automating that in real time at a huge scale, and particularly expanding that into areas of video ads and mobile ads. Obviously, the display programmatic buying has long been around, and I think it's up to 20% of the US display market, for example, is bought in a programmatic way. But I think expanding that kind of ad exchange concept into video ads and mobile will be critical.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. You know, anything not real time is really having a hard time keeping up with all the industry, but especially with the consumers. And Neslihan, what do you see coming?
Well, I actually left my microphone over there. Can I borrow yours? Thank you. Well, as I said in my speech, video and mobile are still, you know, the key drivers of change in our country, at least. And RTB is quite new, so it will also be a driver of growth for next year. Social media is, kind of booming in Turkey. As you all know, we are like the 6th biggest country as a Facebook nation. But it is more, likely to be used as with its free features, let me say, rather than, the paid features of it. So I say basically video, mobile, and RTB.
I see. Thank you. So Orkun Bey, we have heard from you. You have the 5th largest social community in between financial audiences in the world. It's amazing success. But in the meantime, I would like to ask, how are you going to better serve them in 2014?
Well, I think what we'll see in 2014 from major banks, definitely from us, is you'll see our social sites, our website, and our online banking now really integrating and getting into each other. We have to come over some security concerns, some regulative concerns, but we're working on it. So I think we'll be one of the first ones to integrate all those platforms seamlessly to a certain extent. I think that's a big journey we're starting next year, probably take a couple of years.
I see. So we'll be able to basically transact on the social platforms directly without leaving the
Yes, while you look up something, at akbank.com, looking for mortgage products, you'll be able to just buy something and then share that with your friends. That kind of seamless transaction is something we're after.
I see. Thank you very much. Now, we have around 10 minutes for questions from the audience. So anyone who has questions, if you could please raise your hands up, please.
Thank you very much. Gaga Jermanovic from Serbia. One question for your panelists. I don't know for whom exactly, but you will manage. Don't you think there is too many middlemen, agencies, advocates, influencers, standing in the way between brands and consumers already? Actually, isn't this social media hype all about cutting out the middlemen of every kind? And you all suggest more clever way of influencing consumers. What do you think about building a better and more social companies or brands? I would appreciate your opinion about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to take it?
Just a quick word on middlemen. I think middlemen will only continue to exist if they add value and they create value. The moment they stop creating value and adding value, then they won't exist. So that's really up to the middlemen. In terms of companies becoming more inherently social, a lot of companies do struggle with this because what is difficult, and sometimes with companies that have a very young age profile, you sometimes can regret unleashing control. And not everyone is always sensible. Not everyone thinks about the consequences of what they say. Not everyone thinks about the consequences of what they post. We all know that some kids already are beginning to regret it. And obviously the likes of Facebook are helping people now re-edit their content because they regret what they have posted and they regret what they have said, and they realize that even 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, it comes back to haunt them. So I do think that there should be more sensible guardrails put in place when companies want to actually become quite social. Just understanding that not everyone knows how to behave properly. So there are certain things that you can't just unleash, or they at least have to be monitored because reputation is everything. It takes years and years to build it, but your whole reputation of your company can come down in 10 seconds. So care has to be there.
Perspective, I can add something. That's a good question. I don't think we need agencies or middlemen to reach the right target group as much as we did in the past. So our relationship with agencies are now changing. We don't need them to find us the right target group. Now it's a lot easier doing through search and social, but we need them more now to tell the right stories. So it's more about content, it's more about telling the story right, so that out of that jungle, yes, we know whom to go after, but they're getting bombarded with millions of messages. So I think that we need agencies more than we did in the past, but just their role changed.
Well, first of all, I think the middleman is an important part of the ecosystem. If you're talking, for example, about the agencies, I mean, we see them as our extended teams and a critical business partner, communication experts, and really, we couldn't solve the challenges of 21st century marketing alone. So I wouldn't necessarily label them the middleman, but an essential part of the marketing ecosystem. What I also agree, I think, I mean, not just social media, but the internet per se has brought a great sense, a new scale of transparency, and with it, accountability brought to the world, not just to marketing. And I think this is that's the beauty of the internet. And I think that's something we need to get used to, or have gotten used to as companies, as brands, to be a lot more transparent, a lot more accountable. And I think this is a great development for both sides, for consumers and the brands.
I would like to add something very brief to the comments. The ecosystem is changing so radically, so rapidly. We all have to adapt. It includes the media agencies, content platforms. I think the winner is always the consumer in this case. But the media agencies, as Orkun Bey said, is really crucial in creating the stories, making them efficient, and especially within the past few years, analytically reporting the results back to the brands so they can make better decisions. I believe the efficiency of the ecosystem is increasing, but anyone who cannot adapt to that pace will be left out of the race. So any other questions from the audience? Go ahead, please.
Hi, Paul Darhill from Audience Science. My question is around TV and programmatic. I don't know if anyone has been to a store recently to buy a TV, but it's almost impossible now to not buy one that's connected to the internet, right? So how long do we think it will be before you can buy all your TV programmatically? Maybe via RTB, maybe not via, but programmatically. 2015?
Sometimes I annoy my colleagues because I, mentally have more aggressive targets. I think it's a lot closer than we think. It is a lot closer than we think. And I don't think that there is anything really to stand in the way. I mean, addressable TV is an absolute reality, and it's going to be mandatory. So the whole broadcasting fraternity are going to have to embrace it. They will work out how to make significant amounts of money from it, so they will be fine in terms of being able to keep healthy production and programming budgets and keep the whole ecosystem alive. So I really feel that, yeah, by 2015 we could be in very, very good shape. And I completely support automated trading. I do think that for us as media agencies, it's representing a revolution in our space, but it really does, it changes our role, and it takes us from a transactional sort of based role into a storytelling, content creation and distribution space, which really is going to be the sweet spot. So we're all very excited about that. But yeah, addressable TV, I think, is just around the corner.
Any other questions from our audience? Okay, I think we are a little past our time here, so I would like to once again thank our contributors very much. This was invaluable lineup of speakers today, and thanks so much for contributing.